Because I know like Simon PD sometimes watches the recording. So
Yeah. Normally they would also be interested in such a call right now, but they were busy with a really big bit as well. Um,
yeah. What were your thoughts with the Dev Guild? Like, what should be the structure? What should be the goals?
so I think essentially these should be the meetings where we develop, um, and we would need to start working on the plans we have for how the guild is going to work, the DAO is going to work, right? So first of all is creating, for example, the ArchiDAO NFT consultancy and the ArchiDAO NFT that acts as an ID, the former NFT skills. Then you have staking contracts and also developing a kind of um, our own token essentially, which we need to see how we will develop, whether we create a treasury first, build that up, and then create a token, or we start with something else first. The other thing I wanted us to discuss is identify maybe 2 or 3 dates in the next 3 months where we do one day, as I've seen from Mike Adria and construction blockchain consortium workshop, it takes about 4 to 5 hours to get someone on board on the tooling, right? To basically say, zero, you know nothing about blockchain, to you have deployed your first contract and you're working, understanding everything. So what we can do is do essentially a 2-day or 3-day, or it could be even a week if the whole DAO is involved, where we go 1 or 2 days of training and then a week of people working on particular projects. And we do the hackathon and we have specific projects. We don't go, you can do whatever.
Mhm.
You basically go, these are the ones you need to work on. So that was my thought about today's meeting essentially.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And few of my thoughts around the guild was like right now like few people showed interest in like learning smart contracts and stuff. So like in season 1, like we were focused on training the community internal training and development.
Mm-hmm.
So one step is making a resource guideline. I know you have one like shared a link earlier about what are some resources if you want to learn smart contracts. So I was thinking, if let's say if a member says I want to be in dev guild, and there are two types of people, one who knows smart contract, one who doesn't know. So someone who doesn't know do this 4 hours of task and do a
Yeah.
assignment, and we can do that. So like having a process in place for anyone who
Yeah.
wants to start contributing, like that's what I meant by like onboarding structure and training content. And
Okay.
for quarter 3, we are planning to do our tokenomics and voting launch. So we might need to do like in-house developer testing of what are the tooling platform, are we
Yeah.
doing on-chain, off-chain voting, what are the DAO toolings out there, like some like on testnet we do those kind of experiments and have like a small voting where we add like 10 accounts and do a voting, and is it working or not, guess
Yeah.
fees.
Exactly. Exactly. All of the things that we were discussing was saying, if you have a project that they want to engage with us, right? They buy the ArchiDAO NFT, which is for
Mhm.
our hours. That creates a project contract. People can stake on the project contract, to participate. We can so working with the whole process on that level, but that will take like 2 to 3 months essentially, and
Correct.
needs like 4 to 5 people working. Now, the good thing is that because we're spread around the world, it will probably not be like, some part might be accelerated essentially. So I was thinking that this can start like maybe in 2 weeks time when we start having people commenting on the ICAD ArchiDAO paper and kind of trying to expand the white paper. So kind of allied to this is that we need to present our kind of vision in terms of how we think it will work, right? I mean, it's probably going to change, but all of the thoughts we have had so far. So we need a couple of diagrams on token economics and crypto economics to work out presentation that we can allow people to say, well, this is, if you're working on this project, this is where the whole chain exists, and this is the place of the project in the whole idea.
So Theo, one thing I am forcing is like maybe separation of two parts. So one is like research, like what
Yeah.
are the possible tokenomics model. I'm not sure Dev Guild has that knowledge or expertise to do that.
Not yet. So what I'm trying to say is that we've kind of developed it through discussions in the core group and with Liz and the guys with the ArchiDAO ICAD paper. And I've developed some part of it also for my research. So this is what I'm bringing to the table. But the idea now is to try and go, okay, can we validate it, right? And this will happen through structured discussion. Because the idea is to have other people open holes to it, right? So the idea will be, I will present it and say, well, this is how I think the token would work. And then you would come in and say, I don't think it's a good idea, or I think it's a good idea, but here's the difference of how this will happen. Does that make sense? So I don't think it's the dev guild that is doing that, right? It's allied to it, but once it's clear what the target is and we write a specification that this is how the crypto economics will work, and the dev guild can take that back and implement it.
Got it.
So that's, I think that's one. And the second was the training part essentially, which is, training and onboarding.
So it's like two division. One is we already have clients who need like consultancy and smart contracts. So we do that, as well as we have, let's say we form a research guild who are testing out, and like there's dowry, there is this, and maybe they want to test and validate ideas of research guild. So they provide, these are the platform you should do, this is our own custom smart contract for governance, stuff like that. Okay. I'm just thinking, like, should this guild focus on educating about smart contracts, or this guild is just focus on products development and like in-house? Like,
You will need to have some kind of an overlap in any case. So it is about in-house development, and it is about in-house development and providing another service. But we need to educate the 4 or 5 people who would be interested in developing this skill essentially. And it will only happen by hosting. If we only do it like a workshop where you only learn, you don't get to scratch your own needs essentially, right? And go, well, I can contribute to this.
got it. So I think it makes a lot of sense. Right now, we need like more members in the dev guild, so we should develop this branch. So maybe like for the next 3 months priorities, for month or two, we do education focus more, and then once we develop the material, like in the background, we are also developing like products. And like, to be specific, NFT consultancy contract and maybe like very lightweight dep could be our first testing use case.
Yeah, I would say within that, the second one would be the ArchiDAO NFT that provides essentially the NFT skills.
So this would be a separate smart contract, right? For NFT skills.
Yeah. This is essentially your own ArchiDAO NFT ID that collects all of your skills and all of your experiences. So the idea here is that every time you do something and you participate in a project, you get upgraded. So imagine it's like your game character in ArchiDAO.
Oh yeah, I think like this is a good point, because what I wanted, we should also like develop some standard practice, because are we adding ArchiDAO multisig address as operator on the smart contract or as owner? Like how?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the initial part will be the when we launch this, it will be the multisig doing the launching. So when we finish with the testing, we should launch on mainnet or on layer twos using the multisigs. And that is what makes it a DAO, right? And then we should design the change to full cryptoeconomics, where beyond the multisig, you might have other roles participating in some of these.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in logistics, like for testing environment, like the devs can do local testing, but for
Yeah,
mainnet, yeah, we do just like approval. And for NFT smart contract, it should be fine. Like I'm just thinking, where is there any case where we could foresee if we do it with multisig, all the things we are getting into the account is not a problem. All the things we need to do transaction from multisig is
yeah,
gonna be
but
a bit
the way you do it, is you have the owner, the multisig being the owner, and then you have roles. So you will put, for example, someone who can pause or unpause a contract, because
correct.
you need that as a security mechanism. So you might have, for example, 3 people who on their own can pause or unpause the contract, and we, I don't know, imagine me, you and Bobby, for example, right? Because we trust each other and we know we're not going to do it on a malicious level. So we need to set owners and roles for those kind of things.
I think like this makes a lot of sense, because so in every smart contract we build, we need to integrate that open Zeppelin ownable smart contract and have the
Yeah,
rules. So like yeah, I think like these are the standard practice. We should, the more we like document, like the easier people
yeah,
might have
yeah.
lesser FAQ. Yeah.
Yeah, because this will translate into a spec, for example, where when someone gets trained on ArchiDAO practices, you say, well, this is how you need to do it, right? Here's an example. Here's also the rationale why it is like that. Because I think
Mhm.
the biggest problem sometimes when you're reading code is like you read it and you're like, why the hell did they make it like that, right? You need to kind of think of so we need to describe the scenarios as well.
Perfect. All right. So what else?
Do you
And
want to identify a date in late May or early June to do a hackathon? Or we propose some dates now, and then we see how the whole core group and everybody else feels.
I think like honestly, this guild for what I'm forcing is for next month or two, it's mostly 3 of us
Yep.
leading and making decision. So the thing is 15 May is our NFTs wearable launch. So,
Yeah.
and maybe
Okay.
third week of
Can I ask of what is the profile that you're expecting for these people to join us? Like any type of previous knowledge into developing?
You can have zero knowledge of development.
Okay,
You
so
just need to be.
maybe, yeah, I see. So maybe would we need more time until we get to a hackathon if we also accept someone who might have zero knowledge in coding?
Or so
do you think it's enough?
The idea of the hackathon is that you come with zero knowledge of coding and you leave with at least the basics to start, right?
Okay.
So I'm kind of thinking like, if I didn't have anything else in my schedule now, I could kind of do it next week and say, well, the 20 people who are interested can come, right? And then this will set them on a course for the next month or so. But we also need to think of what they need to do next and what is missing now, because we can do the onboarding and say, well, here's Bobby, here's how you can do a smart contract, here's how you do an NFT. But then if we need to tell you, well, for the ArchiDAO NFTs, we're still kind of, I have my own ideas for NFT skills. Mayur has his own ideas for the ArchiDAO consultancy, right? We're not yet at team level working on saying, if I fall sick, Mayur can step in and say, well, this is how we're going to do it. Does that make sense? So we haven't organized that yet. So the idea is that once someone starts to get the basic knowledge and starts then joining development meetings, they can start cutting their teeth on smaller problems and then maybe even bigger. And that's how you develop open source kind of issues.
Cool.
Right?
Maybe
you don't have to. Sorry, you don't have to have full experience.
Cool. Maybe we could have some basic package for the starting, the very, very beginning, because I know that might be someone interested in no knowledge, and my beginning was incredibly hard, and other people might face this also.
Right. So can I ask you this? Because you come from that critical eye, can you review to this companion? I've posted it again before. So what I'd like you to do is go through this and then basically give me feedback and say, this is good, this is not good, this is what I would put first, right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Theo, I think it's more lesser kind of a resource problem, more kind of a community co-learning. Like it's like I'm doing AI class. So what I foresee is if Bobby, there are like 3 more people who are in the same stage as yours who want to learn the same, having like a similarly weekly study group type of thing will develop the confidence and like crash course. Maybe we can break this resources into 4 weekends, and each weekend there is a task where Saturday you learn, Sunday you solve.
I know what happens, right? So I'll tell you what we need to do. We need to do exactly what we did with. So this was developed for Athens Labs for Consensus Academy. So what I did with this was have a weekly meeting with all of the people who had a scholarship on Athens Labs. So this was developed for them, right? And then we would go, okay, what is holding you up this week? And they would say, NFTs or deployment, any problem they had, right? And we would try to either solve it or give them resources. So I think then we need to maybe do 2 meetings of the dev guild, which is one is development, so product development, and the other one is you come and you learn. And we basically say, this week it's introduction. Second week is your first contract. Third week is, so we basically say to people, this is what you need to do this week. This is the 4 hour of material you need to go through, come to the meeting and then you can ask questions. Would that something like that work?
Maybe I would add a week 0 prior to that, like GitHub, Visual Studio Code. Very. That's the part that I was thinking.
If you go to the first link, so if you go to this one, you go to the first link, you go to the basic training. So go to that.
Oh, okay. Code editors.
So this one is what is Git, setting up GitHub, everything, right? So this goes through developing, and this is for free. You can go through it, right? So this is week 0 essentially.
Okay, perfect.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And maybe Theo, I'm thinking like if let's say this is like a one month ArchiDAO smart contracts bootcamp, for example, and we have like a big challenge at the end or some task, everyone who joined and finished that challenge now claimed a ArchiDAO smart contract badge, and which can be used in NFT smart contracts.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's I mean the NFT skills was to kind of be able to do that. So
all right. So coming back to
just to warn you, I don't have a lot of time, right? So I'll need to be gone in the next 10 minutes. So what I'd say is put it in as a to-do for Theo. So in the end, actions.
This to do or
Yeah. So Theo to return next week with a schedule for Dev Guild training onboarding plus curriculum.
yep. And this can be like outside. We can make a general post and get a lot of people onboarded.
What I would like to do is I would like to get us on board with Athens Lab because we developed it with them, right?
Mhm.
Get Xenophon also on because it would probably be also easier to get scholarship for consensus in September. So let me talk to Zeno with Athens Labs and try to make it a common pool and maybe also get some of the developers that graduated from there to help, right?
It would be great.
Exactly. So try to get to do it in a common idea. And then if we also get consensus on board and we get scholarships and we have 10 scholarships, ArchiDAO specifically to do, that would be amazing from my point of view.
Yeah.
So it could be, for example, that one of the things we do is we say, best project wins one. Actually, action to contact consensus and ask for scholarships.
Uh, CNSYS. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, the other thing I wanted to ask is, shall we find one or two other slots where we meet during the week for production?
Yeah, I have
This
like
is getting
more
difficult.
like the thing is it's during we can decide a time slot, and I would more I have more availability on weekend for longer chunk and getting it finished than during weekday. But
Okay. I'm starting to struggle with the weekends again, so it's a big problem. But yeah, let's try to keep a meeting a week like this. We can at least discuss what is coming on, and then maybe creative time during weekends or any other time. And I mean, this can happen asynchronously,
asynchronously.
asynchronously.
And like Theo, I'm just thinking maybe
Hmm?
we can take charge of each big initiatives. For example, Barbie, if you're interested, you can take charge of ArchiDAO development bootcamp, coordinate with Theo for
Yep.
if and then like make a post and like get some people excited. Currently, I could like based on the need, we need this NFT smart contract consultancy. I can take in charge of that. Hopefully, I want to do and finish it this weekend. And I can even create an event, and if people want to work together, they can join.
Yep. Try that. I have already NFT ID, the ArchiDAO ID NFT, and I think that's enough for the first meeting.
Yeah.
The more you're gonna add, the more we're not gonna do it.
Yeah. Let's do one task lead and do it fully and then move on.
Good. Perfect.
It is a good start. Okay. Anything to add before you leave? I'm gonna. It's on GitHub, so I'm just gonna commit and we're good to go.
Yeah. I think commit that, and then let's think other standard practices we need to have for environment deployment, all of that. But I think it needs more time to think about.
Yeah. Uh, maybe like also like you were saying, suggesting like a Kanban style. So we need like this open task ticket where like okay, standard practice is an ongoing month-long
Yeah.
task, and NFT skills. hackathon we can decide. So these are like quick action items.
Yeah, with the hackathon, I think we need, let me discuss with Bobby and set up a schedule.
Yeah. All right. So, so I think we are good to go. So Theo is the coordinator for NFT skills. We need boot camp. Okay, now Solidity and Bobby could be that coordinator. Bobby, are you fine with that or okay? Looks like 3 priorities for upcoming next 4 weeks. So good.
Très bien.
Très bien.
Wait, what was that?
It means very, very good in French.
Oh, okay. Cool. I think this was a productive meet. And one thing I think, Theo, like asynchronously, we can decide like what would be a good task or bounty structure, like payment and
Yep.
like stuff.
The other thing I wanted to tell you is I am in contact with Jenny from Northumbria, who's organizing the third research workshop for construction blockchain consortium. I'm going to meet her on Monday. So do we have any ideas for a workshop we want to put in for them? So we could make it an ArchiDAO branded workshop in 21st of June. If you can put that in, that's when the workshop is taking place in Amsterdam.
21st June. So you want us like a very coding focused workshop or metaverse focused?
If it's metaverse, I mean, it needs to be connected with the AEC industry, right? So if it's metaverse, we need to actually showcase, for example, one of the things I was thinking is how do we make a crypto twin, right? And showcase that. One of the other things I'm working now is on typical contracts for AEC. So if you look at the literature right now, there are patterns keep coming up, right? So, you know, fungible contracts, non-fungible, payment contracts, escrow contracts.
Mm.
So you see that everybody's kind of developing almost along the same lines. And then we could actually come in and say, here is your standard package of contracts. You kind of need to know if you are to do blockchain in construction and in AEC, right? And then if we have the templates and our templates are the go-to templates, you know, again, competitive advantage, you are the consultant they're going to call, right? All of that. So, you know, things like that. So we haven't decided yet. I just need, you know, if we have any ideas, let's discuss until Monday.
Yeah. I'll start sharing ideas on the Discord.
Perfect. I will probably be there, but it would be fantastic if we can have a synchronous remote collaboration. Well, synchronous remote collaboration as well.
Yeah. To wrap up, I thought like every real estate person now wants to do like tokens and stuff, but hardly they know about the legal implication. What are security as to? So I don't know if there is like a legal real estate guild or like if we start inviting people and like in order to develop this template, what are the understanding around it and like knowledge gathering or even a panel discussion. Yeah,
Shall I call the lawyers I work with? Because I think
definitely.
that I think is the most easiest to do instead of us trying to understand it, right? Call them and say, here are 3 questions. You know, if we want to do this, where are the problems, right? And at least they are mostly European law based, but because they teach on this online construction law masters, their students are from all over the world. So I think there will be differences in how things are if the legal entity is in Asia, Europe, or the US. So, but let's see how. Let me talk to them and see what we can get from that point of view.
Yeah, like let's start the discussion. At least if we know one region very well, we know the all the
Yep,
implications.
yep, yep.
Cool. We have a long to-do list, but it's achievable, and we have priorities for next 2 months. Let's go.
Great. Enjoy the rest of your day.
See
Okay,
you
guys,
guys.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.